Hi everybody, welcome to the UEA's Nursing Podcast, and here we have a Meet the Lecturer episode with Tom. Hi Tom.
Hi Joe.
So, brief introduction. What's your role here? Who are you?
Yeah. So I'm Tom, clinical skills lecturer. Joined the team back at the beginning of the year, February sort of time.
Yeah.
I help work with a team of 4 and a wider team of skills lecturers, supporting nursing associate students with their clinical skills training.
Yeah, fantastic.
Lots of different formats to that. Lots of sort of new work in simulation that's ongoing. Some really exciting projects, and happy to be part of it.
Brilliant. So those students will see a fair amount of you and should get to know you fairly quickly.
Will. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. So let's jump back from now to the beginning. What got you into nursing?
It was a bit bizarre, really. So I remember I was doing a part-time job in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Left school, did my A levels, and someone said to me one day, one of my regulars sort of said, "You've got a really caring nature. Have you thought about going into healthcare?" And I find it so both exciting and bizarre and a little bit intimidating that your life can hinge on those sort of conversations. It was literally from that moment I thought, "Oh yeah, I think I'll give that a go. I'll have a look at that."
Interesting.
Did some voluntary work in a local nursing home. Absolutely loved it. From the first moment I was supporting someone with their eating and drinking, getting to know them, getting to know their history. I was addicted straight away. It was fantastic. So you hadn't like gone through school thinking I might go into it, umming and ahhing. No.
You hadn't considered it until someone who you served in your coffee shop said you should go into it.
It was in that moment. And it all kind of clicked because I was in that period of my life where I wanted to sort of
you knew you were looking at something. It was
gather something, but it was kind of what do I want to put myself into, and it became that. So yeah, it all kind of evolved from there. I worked in a learning disabilities home as a carer for a year, and I'll never forget that experience. It was so sort of rewarding.
Yeah.
We were sort of helping people with their independent living skills. And I still got that card from when I left, where the people that lived there made a card for me, sort of saying, "Sorry, you're leaving." And that's still up in the loft, so I still get it down. I could tell you all of their names. Obviously, won't do it on camera, but it's and I remember all of their characters, and it's part of bringing that out of you, that you're part of someone's lives at that point when you become a nurse, and that's the privilege of it, really.
So you didn't you had that this random person had this idea, and you didn't just go and straight away apply. You went and thought, I'm going to get some experience and stuff first. So you did the care home time, and then with people with learning disabilities as well.
Absolutely,
to kind of prepare yourself. And at that point, you went, I'm going to go and.
That's when just to make sure it was the right thing for me. Build that experience first, and it felt, I'm ready now. And then I applied, and I was fortunate to get accepted onto the degree.
Fantastic. Did the person who told you to do it ever find out that you went and did it?
You know what? It's strange. They're at this sort of hazy memory in the back of my mind. I believe that I probably would have said to them, I've done some voluntary work now, and I loved it and that type of thing. But they probably don't know that I've gone on to do my degree and be a qualified nurse and now working in this profession. It's fascinating, really, isn't it?
They may not know what their one sentence that they probably forgot they even said. The impact it had on you, and therefore the impact it had on loads of patients and all sorts.
That's why I say to students always, never underestimate the power of feedback and passing, good feedback on someone, because it could make a huge impact on them. Both if that's a colleague or if it's a patient, in terms of telling them that, you did really well when you did that first transfer today. You've been in bed for the last 2 weeks, and now you've managed to stand for that 10 seconds, and you've achieved, and then that will just give them that momentum to be able to keep improving.
And the sort of comments that you forget about 10 seconds after you said it will stay with someone else for a really long time.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I like finding out how people get into
nursing. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So, and enjoyed your training, went and did the degree straight away, and
I mean, I say I went on to the degree. I actually had to start on a diploma, so I did a diploma for the first year, and then I was able to transfer in my second year onto the degree. Got my head down, got some good grades in the first year, had a discussion with my university, and they were able to sort of transfer me across. Because instantly, as soon as I got into nursing, it was like something clicked in me, and I loved studying for it. I loved learning more about it. Whereas in the past, maybe study has been something that I did if I had to, and I just, went through. But I loved it, and instantly I wanted to push myself as far as I could with it. So yeah, I actually started on diploma, moved on to the degree.
Yeah.
But really enjoyed my training.
So once you knew you'd found your thing and you were happy to study, it wasn't studying because you had to, like at school. It was like, I want to learn about this.
Yeah, what more can I find,
Yeah, and then the more you study, the more you get out of it, and the more you see the benefit of it, and then you keep going.
Yeah, and the more study, it becomes easier the more you do it. It becomes more natural. You find your own technique. And then again, I've used that phrase, it just kind of clicks. Yeah. And it becomes more straightforward.
And what did you enjoy most about your training?
The variety, I guess. Went to lots of different areas. So some in medicine, some in surgical, some in the community. And I enjoyed all of them. They were all good in their own way. It kind of taught me what I enjoy. I've worked primarily in medical fields. Yeah. I love the grey of not knowing quite how to treat a condition when the person comes in, getting to know the individual over a longer period of time, potentially. Sometimes in the acute phase, the time with the family is really important. It is in all areas of nursing, but there's just little sort of subtleties of difference between each field of nursing that you can work in. Yeah. And I guess that was the best thing, is that variety, that learning about what type of nurse I want to be when I qualify. Yeah. And what type of nurse did you want to be? Where did you go to work when you finished? Well, so my first job was in a community hospital back in Somerset. And again, that taught me a lot about complex discharge planning, getting to know the family, getting to know the patient over an extended period of time, helping them with rehab so that, again, we're talking about that confidence building and helping people to sort of make those first steps after what has been quite a lengthy journey. So that was my first experience, and I did that for a year. Yeah. And to be honest, I moved into working on my local hospital back in Kings Lynn in an AMU, so acute medical unit. And I likened it to kind of turning off the slip road, having been on a 20 mile an hour or 30 mile an hour road onto the M25. And it was all sort of, all go, it was very fast paced. But I was able to utilize the skills I'd learned previously so that when I could see that someone who was with me for a short period of time, because people are admitted, assessed, and then transferred to a different area, I could see the potential future journey for them, and we could have discussions about that. So even though it wasn't necessarily my direct role, I could help prepare people for what happens next when they are transferred to another part of the hospital.
Yeah, that's quite useful actually, because you often will do placements or jobs and you go, oh, that's not really my thing. Yeah. But it's still useful, that knowledge and stuff you get there. Yeah. You'll use it in a different setting altogether.
Yeah, you can always take something and apply it to another area, and I'd always say to a learner, take the best and the most of what you can out of that experience, because not every placement will be for every person, but you can always gain from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what did you do next? How long were you there for?
So AMU, I think it was around about a year and a half, 2 years I was there, and then I got the cardiology bug. So I went to cardiology. I was a band 5 at that point, so sort of your first sort of banding when you start in nursing as a registrant, and something clicked again there. So I love cardiology, looking at sort of the acute phase, so when someone comes in and they're really quite unwell, potentially needing to go off for investigation, but also the patients that came back to you with more long-term conditions, and you got to know them as people. The person at the end of it is always the thing that kind of stuck with me most, rather than the condition or the effects on the person that the condition brings. But I was there for maybe 4 or 5 years, became a junior charge nurse, and then had a period as a ward manager there as well, and absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. Very different way of working. I was kind of taking people from AMU, so I got to sort of stand on the other side of the mirror and have people coming in to me and having them for a little bit longer. I jumped on the odd ambulance to take people to Norfolk and Norwich who needed stenting and that type of thing. So that was all very, challenging but exciting. And again, getting to be there for a person when they're at a really vulnerable period of their life, and just supporting them. So that's where the person side of things comes back. So yeah, that was a big part of my career, cardiology. And it was sort of from there that I then sort of moved into roles in endocrinology and then finally in education. So,
Fantastic. So it's quite quite a lot of experience from a wealth of areas. I mean, AMU will give you experience of so much anyway, but then to go and specialise in other areas afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you moved into an educator role in the same trust. And what did you like about that role? What did you do there?
Well, it was brilliant because one thing that I established throughout my nursing is I loved having students to work with.
Yeah.
You know, it just sort of, it was a really enjoyable experience. You see people at the beginning of their journey and you think, what would I had wanted when I was at their stage of development? And I can be that person now. So that was instantly something that I really enjoyed. So previously you were called a mentor. I did my mentorship training, and that's been updated to an assessor level of training now. And I really enjoyed sort of supporting students coming into the trust. Lots of different backgrounds. You know, we had people from various different universities, different courses, but the need was always the same: to feel supported, to feel that they had someone that they could speak to, and to have someone to kind of just help build that enthusiasm as to what you can gain as a student and how you can grasp learning opportunities when they present themselves.
Yeah.
So I think that was it. I mean, we did a weekly forum where we brought different specialist nurses and doctors and physios and OTs, you know, various different professionals to come in and speak to our learners. And that was really exciting to be part of. You know, I'd run a simulation suite there where we had various different mannequins where we'd set up scenarios and students would manage that with our support. And it was just that chance to really try something different and be that fly on the wall and help someone through a placement experience so they got the absolute most of it. So that's why I went into the educator role.
So you had lots of proper hands-on time with students, not just an educator that could be contacted if need be, or that sent out a rota and then you didn't see again. You were really engaged working with them. So it kind of makes sense that your next step was to then come over to work here. Yeah,
absolutely. So it was really exciting when I got the opportunity to join the team in UEA. I've worked closely with the UEA through my previous role, and it's a fantastic team. And like I say, it was a natural kind of next step for me in my career. I loved my previous job, you know, and I wouldn't change that time for the world. But this was a great sort of opportunity for me, and it's allowed me to sort of take that next step in teaching. And again, supporting students in an environment with lots of amazing resources to work with here. And I wake up every day excited as to what we can do next.
You really enjoy being here.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Good. And then just to round off, if you were going to give a tip to a student, if you were going to say, right, I'm a new student, I'm nervous, I'm about to start or I've just started, what would your kind of top tip for that student be?
I think the main thing is just be kind to yourself and be honest with yourself. So sort of a double thing, really. I think we all wait for that moment where you draw the curtains and the sun shines in and you say, I am nurse, I am ready, sort of thing, you know, and it never really comes. We're all learning every single day. I always think to myself, I wish I knew more about X, Y, Z. You know, you can always improve your knowledge base. We just need to make you safe when you come in for your training. Yeah. So be kind to yourself. When you hit those bumps in the road, this is where the be honest with yourself part comes up. You know, seek support, find your advisor, find your link lecturer, find your clinical educator, speak to your assessor. You know, just reach out. I think it's easy when you hit a difficult moment to kind of want to hide from that and maybe hope that it will just get better on its own. But the best thing you can do is reach out and speak with people. And then when you achieve something, give yourself a pat on the back because you need to refuel. You know, human nature is often you look at the 5% you've done wrong rather than the 95% of what you've done well. Yeah. And you're forever sort of giving yourself stick for that 5%. Celebrate what you've done well.
Yeah, brilliant. That's really good advice. It links it. We had a student, or a nursing who was previously a student, who came and talked about her first year of nursing recently. Yeah. And one of the things that came up there was how she kind of, when she was heading towards the end of her 3 years, put herself under pressure that she should know everything. You're like, well, clearly you're not ever going to know everything, and you're definitely not by the time you finish your degree. You need to know enough. You need to be the basics and just be safe, and you will continue learning loads when you're out in practice and when you're qualified and when you've been qualified for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and I often say, because it comes up quite often, that type of discussion, you know, the very fact that you're thinking in that way, it shows you care, it shows you passion, it shows that when you don't know something, you will read further and you will look to understand it better. So that's a really good thing. but it's just learning to press pause and to just think rationally and think, actually, no, I do need to kind of celebrate what I have achieved at this point.
Yeah.
And it's natural to need to learn more. That's human nature. That's what we all have to do.
Which is great, but just don't put yourself under too much pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Lovely.
Thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully you found meeting Tom interesting. If you did, please like the video, share it with other people, add any questions or comments below. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get alerts when there are new videos out. And just browse, have a look. There's lots more Meet the Lecturer episodes that are also available. Thanks very much. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.